I've got it. We're recording.
Beautiful. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shauna Webush. I am the Mathematics and Science Director in the Curriculum Division here at TEA, and I'm presenting here today with Julie. Julie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Julie Kuhn. I oversee everything Mathematics Achievement Academies for the Texas Education Agency. Welcome to everyone. We're glad you're here today, and we look forward to sharing our information with you.
So our goal today is to provide you with some information about the Mathematics Achievement Evaluation Grant. We want to talk to you a little bit about the timeline, what the goal of the grant is, a little bit specifically about data, and then really the bulk of the time we want to provide to you to ask questions. Any of the questions that we address today will also be posted in an FAQ, and we'll talk a little bit more about that FAQ here in just a few minutes. As far as norms go, please do keep your mic on mute unless you're actively talking. While either I'm presenting or Julie's presenting, by all means, feel free to use the chat. We do also, or if you have any questions that you want to ask in the moment, we do also have like dedicated time at the end to ask questions about every which part of this particular evaluation grant opportunity. So, with that in mind, this is our general timeline. The letter of interest for the evaluation grant was posted on March 20th. Today, of course, we're having our webinar to answer questions in the moment and provide some information. The FAQ on April 10th, that is our last day to submit questions to the FAQ. So if you think of questions after today that you would like answers to, please just contact Julie or myself, and we will make sure that we find out the information that you need to know and also get that posted to the FAQ. That way everybody has access to all the same answers. April 24th is the due date for the application, and we anticipate announcing the awardee on May 30th at this time. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the overview. So the purpose of the grant is to examine the impact of teacher attendance at a Mathematics Achievement Academy on educator classroom performance and the performance of their students in mathematics. Largely what that means is that we've been running these Mathematics Achievement Academies for several years, and now we really need to see if the attendance of teachers at the Mathematics Achievement Academies is truly improving the performance of their kiddos in understanding math. And so the legislature made a call for this grant so that we could find that out. And you have the specific statutory authority here if you wanted to look that up, as well as the total award amount, which is $200,000. I'm going to let Julie talk a little bit about the actual ecosystem of the Mathematics Achievement Academies for those of you that may not be familiar with it, and then we'll get to specific questions.
So the Mathematics Achievement Academies began with the legislative session in 2015. In 2016, the original 3-day Mathematics Achievement Academies rolled out, and that was for grades K1, grade 2, and grade 3. Those rolled out for 16 and 17. They were a 3-day academy that was designed to develop teacher content knowledge. And that was limited to grades K through 3 with that current legislature. Beyond that, we created a session that was problem solving and discourse that expanded a teacher's ability. Once they had attended the original academy, they could learn more about problem solving and facilitating discourse and student engagement within their classrooms. They could also choose to attend a session that was formative assessment and applying that content across the strands, which took the original content of the academy and applied it across multiple strands of mathematics. We created a leadership overview course as well. That is a 3-hour course that allows participants to, as leaders of districts and campuses, to understand the overall ecosystem of the academy, how that applied and supported within their district. And then in addition to that, we had a leadership-based implementation support session that actually goes through and makes connections, gives the leaders an opportunity to collaborate with each other and to really dig into where their teachers are within elementary mathematics and how they can support that. In the last legislative session, they actually added grade 4. So we are currently rolling that content out. It will go through our ESCs as a rollout this summer, and we will move on to grade 5 beyond that. The total of the ecosystem is 13 sessions at this point. The grant, as you go into the program guidelines, which I did put a link into the chat for you, you will see that we are originally starting on this with those original academies. And the data that we're asking you to evaluate and go through is the kinder, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and then the grade 4 academy content. I see a question in the chat real quick. How many hours did teachers have at the 3-day academy? That was an 18-hour session, 6 hours per day. Absolutely. Thank you for the question. So data sources that we've collected thus far throughout those academy sessions, we do have the ESC session information available to you to know what sessions were offered by the ESCs historically throughout from 2016 to current. We have those participant attendance records through the ESCs. We have the participant mastery checkpoint data that we have recently began, that we are allowing participants to have a short checkpoint assessment at the end of each day that will give us the mastery knowledge of the content they've experienced throughout the day. And then we have participant stipend records throughout the history of the entire project. At this point, we have a little over 28,000 teachers in the state of Texas that have completed an original Mathematics Achievement Academy grades K through 3.
Okay, so now what we wanted to do is really give you guys an opportunity to, after looking at the language in the letter of interest and hearing a little bit about the math academies themselves, we wanted to give you guys a chance to answer or ask some questions. And we wanted to provide a little bit of structure to this component. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask for questions about specific topics centered around this particular letter of interest. And then if you have further questions that haven't been addressed within those topics, we'll give you an opportunity to ask those as well. So the first question or first topic that we want to give you a chance to ask about are the required attachments that were requested on the LOI. Are there any specific questions about those attachments?
Okay, so I'm just joining in new, fresh on this whole idea. Can you tell me LOI? What does that?
That's perfect. Thank you for the question. So it's a letter of interest. And for those of you that usually work with contracts, you may find that some of the language around what we're doing here is a little bit different because it is a grant. And so the letter of interest is really our call for applications is essentially what it is in this case. Instead of doing an RFP, this is the way we say, hey, here is the opportunity, here's the funding, here are the requirements, please give us your applications for it. And again, we will have until April 10th to add questions to the FAQ. So after today, if you come up with anything between now and then that you want answered, please do let us know. Let's ask a little bit about program requirements. If you've had an opportunity to read through those program requirements, did you have any specific questions about those? Or about specific performance and evaluation measures?
Hi, this is Dr. Tiffany Pruitt-Britton. I did have a question, I guess, in that area. Specifically, it seemed to be, let me say, like there could be room for interpretation on what the actual like deliverables would be. So I don't know if that was by design or if you mean to provide a little bit more information on what actual deliverables you guys are interested in or looking for?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. Julie, do you want to tackle it?
Sure, I'll start, and then if you have additional questions, I encourage you to ask. So this was a new mission for us to begin to evaluate our academies and the content that we had up to this point. It was somewhat intentional that it is broad and vague, because we have the data sources and the pieces that we've collected thus far, but we also wanted to leave it open to those of you that they're more familiar with the evaluation work, and letting you bring those experience pieces to the table and look at what we have and determine what else you need and what else you could use to evaluate the effectiveness of that teacher growth due to participation in the academy and how that impacts student scores. So the deliverables would need to come back to the original element of, I'm going to scroll up real quick, give me just a second, to the original legislature, which really asked to evaluate the effectiveness of teachers based on their attendance to the academy. So the deliverables would need to come back and match that. We would need to have data that told us exactly what the impact was for a teacher to attend an academy and how that could have an impact on student scores, whether it be historical or whether it be moving forward based off what you saw within that data. Does that help at all, Tiffany?
It does help some. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I see your hand raised there. I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong. Umut?
Yeah, this is Umut Özek. I'm from RAND. My question is, so this program is intended for teachers in grades K through 3. Am I correct?
It
Teachers-
originally was grade K through 3. The not the current legislative session, but the previous legislative session actually expanded that to all grade levels of mathematics. So we are
Okay.
currently have grade 4 in development, and
Okay.
grade 5 will follow. And then we will just continue as long as we have funding.
Yeah,
But for the
I mean,
purpose,
yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for the purposes of this specific evaluation timeline, it would be the grade levels that are, we have teachers participating within the academies, which will be through 4th grade this year.
Through 4th grade. Yeah, I mean, the reason why I asked is because, if we're thinking about using student test scores as an outcome measure, the tested grades are 3 through 8. So K through 3, we would need other test scores or other outcomes to evaluate the effect of this program on teacher effectiveness. So I guess my question would be, do you have any information about diagnostic tests, for example, like iReady Map in earlier grades that can be used for this evaluation?
There are no current diagnostic elements in place consistently K through in that
Okay.
K through 2 realm. We do have the grade 3 star information that we could
Okay.
that we would definitely want to be able to allow you to look at as needed to depending upon the approach that you needed to go through for that. There are some elements within the academy that have some assessment rapid assessments built into it that we would also encourage you to look at and see if that's data that you could use as well.
Okay. Oh, this is really useful. Thank you so much. One other question, related question. You might have mentioned this. I was able to join a little bit late. My question is, like, what's the size of this program? How many teachers are we talking about?
Thus far, we have a little over 28,000 teachers that have completed
Okay.
the Mathematics Achievement Academy.
Okay.
And we have
so-
those stipend records to know who those teachers are.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I love that you pointed out that we don't have state assessment scores for our K1, 2 folks, kiddos, because that is absolutely going to be part of this evaluation grant, where we are very curious to see what proposals you all have for good ways to evaluate student growth in math at those grade levels. There is a question in the chat, Julie, as well.
I will need to check into that to there are some rules within FERPA and some of the pieces for what the ESC has on their end. So I will need to do some further investigation to be able to answer the question of whether or not there's data collected besides that checklist on demographics and information of that nature.
And then are there broad questions about either the application process or timeline? And we've already started touching base a little bit on the data sources as well, but are there any questions on either of those things?
Yes, this is Dr. Tiffany Pruitt-Britton again with AIR. I'm curious about, it sounds like this is something that has the possibility of being scaled, you know, so far as K3, working on 4th and possibly going up to 8. Is there a plan for this to be something that could be ongoing? Or are you looking at moment in time? Are you looking for possibilities? Is this something going to be ongoing, or is there going to be possibilities for like rebidding for as you scale to higher grades?
I believe, of course, everything that we do is based on funding and what we receive for that.
Sure.
So I believe at TEA, Shauna, our division, we would really like to know this information on an ongoing basis. This is something that we value very much, is to know the improvement and the impact that we're having by providing this program to the state. So it is absolutely work that we want to continue funding, allowing moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I have another question about the program, unless somebody else has a question.
Now go right ahead.
Okay, so do you have any other resources for more detailed information about the program that we can look at to see? I mean, as we're working on a proposal.
Yes, we are currently going through a webpage update, so that will be available as well. You could look on the TEA website for the Academy's webpage. There's some historical information there. Know that in the next week or two, it's going to actually receive an update, so there'll be additional information. What I would encourage you to do is to propose that question as an FAQ, so that when we post the FAQ document, we can also provide a description of each of the sessions as part of that FAQ document for you to reference and understand what all those 13 elements are.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, folks, we are more than happy to stay on the line and take other questions as they come up.
I do have one more question.
Yes, please. Absolutely.
Yeah, the question, I guess, is about the outcome of this evaluation. I mean, are you envisioning these, whoever wins this opportunity to publicly disseminate these findings, or do you envision this to be more of an internal report to TEA?
Shawnee, do you want to take that one?
I think that's when we would actually need to run by our leadership team to find out exactly how far spread they plan on, or how wide they plan on publicizing the results of this. I honestly don't know that answer right now, but we will absolutely ask that question and make sure that that is included within the FAQs.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
And Marcus, I see your question. Can you clarify, give me more information about your question?
Basically, just trying to understand the nature of, how competitive this opportunity is.
My immediate answer to that is that we have this one opportunity now that is the $200,000 grant. We anticipate that there will be one award granted for this particular project through this time frame. As we stated earlier, we would like to continue to evaluate the effectiveness of the academies on an ongoing nature as long as they are funded.
Thank you so much. And I think I may have just gotten my terms mixed up, but I was basically asking how many proposals you're expecting.
That's a great question. I don't know that we had a specific number. This is very honestly, this is it's not. This is the first time we will have done a call like this for through a grant, and so we honestly don't know how many folks are going to submit applications.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, you have you have 3 email addresses up on your screen there. We have the competitive grants division, which would be able to answer questions about process in general on grants and the nature of timelines and applications and all of that. You also have my email address and Julie's email address. Please do feel free to reach out. You also see a QR code on the screen. We always like to collect data at the end of presentations to get your feedback on how informative it was and if it was helpful to you and what we might want to change in order to make these types of things more helpful in the future. So we would very much appreciate your time in completing that survey. And other than that, we are happy to stay on the line and take any further questions that you have. And we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for coming.
We look forward to
Awesome.
the applications as well.
Thank you so much. And the further questions we should send to these email addresses or
You can,
Okay.
yes. I believe that I was just double checking that on the actual grant. I believe it says to send to the Academy's inbox, but know that if you send questions to any of these 3 email addresses, we will include those on the FAQ document that will be posted on April the 10th.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your help.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you all so much. Have a good
Thank you,
day.
Dr. Britton.
Thank you. All right.